Dear Diary, today I took the first step in becoming an ADHD coach. I can't actually quite believe it. I want to learn, grow, and build something extraordinary. I think this journey will be the Indigo Diaries. Dear Diary, welcome world to the Indigo Diaries, and welcome to our exciting new series, Series 2, The World Through a Trainee's Coach's Eyes. And that coach is training is me, Tasha Hickling. The Indigo Diaries is a podcast for those who want to learn about ADHD through others' experiences. And I welcome you back, everyone, to Verbal Process with me, Tasha Hickling. I missed last week because there was a lot going on, and this week I'm actually releasing 2 episodes, this one and one from my Series 1. So it's very exciting. So I kind of left last week. I thought I would leave them both till this week. I have to say that just before coming on, I've had a really bad day today, really emotional day at work, and not to do with me, not to do with my ADHD, just to do with situations that I've had to deal with today. And I got home a bit later than normal because I had to do some stuff that I needed to finish off. And I came home and I was like, no, I'm just going to leave the podcast. I'm just going to leave it. I don't think it's, I'm not in the mood. And I was really not motivated. And then I remembered that, no, come on, you got this. This is going to make your day better. I really enjoy, whoever's listening, I really enjoy doing this. Not only does it help me verbal process, but I hope that it helps other people out there as well. And I was like, come on, Tash, come on, let's get it going. So I'm not going to lie, I had some external motivation. I had some ice cream. I love ice cream. Don't try this at home, but I like ice cream. I had that, and then I was like, come on, cheer up, let's go. So here I am. And I just want to say that I'm really proud of myself for coming on, because today's been a real big eye-opener and a real big emotional whirlwind for me. So I'm glad to be here, and I hope that this puts me in a better mood. So today, we're going to look at 2 things. The first one is life coaching, what life coaching is and what ADHD life coaching is. And number 2, the process of change. So I'm going to start off with talking about what life coaching is. And actually, it's quite funny, really, because that is exactly what I'm doing. My course trains me to be a certified ADHD life coach. So what is life coaching? Well, life coaching has been going on for decades, and things that have just naturally evolved to life coaching, okay? So there's no founder of coaching, there's no founder of life coaching or motivation. There's so many different coaches out there now, and there's no real person that has invented it. It's just evolved over time with 12-step programs, this, and this. So that's what life coaching has come from. It's just been a process of loads of things over decades. So coaching really began about 25 years ago when the ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation, okay, came into play. And this is the most accredited coaching body that endorses a code of ethics and coaching competencies. Coaching competencies are basically like a standard, guidelines, okay, for what coaches need to do, what a coach is and what their role is. A bit like a job description, okay, coaching competencies. And it's basically a curriculum standards for accreditation, okay? Coaches get accredited, and education boards that train coaches can also get accredited, okay? If you don't have accreditation, that's okay. But it's really big when you go on a coach's website and you see ICF accredited. That means they've gone through, they're endorsed by a code of ethics, they've gone through the coaching competencies, they've done a course that is ICF accredited, and then they've had to go through different stages to get that accreditation, okay? So the course that I'm doing right now is accredited by the ICF, okay? So that's a real big thing. But life coach and then ADHD life coach, what on earth is that? That's probably what you're thinking. When I heard about ADHD life coaches, I was like, what? What is that? So the key things I'm going to talk about, because we are talking about ADHD life coach. So there's unique ADHD life coaching, okay? A coach is a partnership in life. And we're going to talk a little bit later on about how a coach is different like a therapist and things. But I'm just going to start with ADHD life coaching because I want to bring it into the context of ADHD. So what's unique about ADHD life coaching? Well, you're not only having a partner in life, but also with self-awareness, ADHD systems, strategies, okay, which a life coach does as well. But with an ADHD life coach, you have an ADHD lens, okay, that helps clients deal with specific ADHD barriers and needs. If you have a life coach, that's great, but they may not understand the factors and all the different things about ADHD. And when ADHD comes into play, you're not only dealing with ADHD, but you're dealing with the life of how people have lived with ADHD, okay? The cause, the effects, the understanding, okay? So the focus is basically ADHD, okay? And most ADHD life coaches have experience with ADHD firsthand, either personally or professionally. So when I become a coach, mine will be personally, but also professionally with my job. So they have many different focuses, okay? So they have many different roles. They're an educator, they're a life coach, because life coach comes into it. They look at strengths, they're motivation coaches, they're strategic coaches, they're accountability partners. Coach is many different things. And when it comes into ADHD, there's a lot of different factors to it, okay? So it's a bit like a magician, okay? The coach has got to have lots of different ones for different things for different roles, okay? So you might ask, well, what's the difference between a coach and a therapist? Okay, this is one of the big things I always get asked. A coach, well, what's the difference, okay? Therapists help you overcome the past pain and challenges, including more significant emotional things. They look at more significant emotional past traumas, okay? But a coach evokes personal learning that helps a client discover growth and move forward. So I think about it as a therapist is more looking in the past and how that past can influence your today, but a coach is more looking at the future. Okay, what you can do now. Yeah, we do go into the past and we have to understand the past to look forward to the future, but it's different, okay? A coach is more of a partnership. A therapist is more of a therapist and a client. It's very different dynamic, and we look at very different things, okay? So they ask, in your words, how would you describe an ADHD life coach? So I like metaphors. I like to picture things in my head. So I picture a life coach, an ADHD life coach, a bit like a lighthouse, okay? So I'm going to put this into context. Imagine that myself, so I'm the ADHD client, is like a boat. All ADHD clients are like boats, okay? When you think of a boat, the waves go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So imagine a boat, okay, in a big storm. And then there's a lighthouse. And the lighthouse and the boat have to work together in order to get the boat to safety, okay? But the boat has to make the movements. It has to make the decisions. It has to drive the force forward, okay? It has to go through the storm. The lighthouse is just there to help guide you. It's there to partner you. It's there to give you things in order for you to get to shore. And I see that as an ADHD life coach. The ADHD life coach is like the lighthouse. The individual, the client, is like the boat. They're going through this life, up, down, up, down, up, down. They've got to put the gears in place. They've got to have the motivation to push forward. And the life coach is helping them, guide them the way to shore, the way to get their real potential, okay? And that's how I see an ADHD life coach, okay? There are many different things about ADHD life coach. There's many different factors, but for me, the biggest thing is self-awareness. They're helping you evoke self-awareness, and they're also partnership with you. It's not them and us, it's us. They're partnering with you so you don't feel alone on this journey. But they also have that understanding of ADHD, which for me was a huge benefactor when I met my ADHD coach. So they said, what are the benefits you have personal experience with ADHD life coaching? So about a year ago, it's actually been coming up to a year, I had moved to Malaysia. I was very lost. If you've listened to my episode in the first series, you'll know a bit more about this, episode 1. And I was very, very lost. I didn't really know where to go forward. I've been seeing my therapist for a few years. She's been really helping with me and my anxiety. But when it came to my ADHD, I didn't really know how to handle it. And then we went into lockdown and I was like, I've never had this much time. So I started to look at ADHD Life Coaching and I was like, what? And I was like, ADHD Life and Coach? Is this going to be some sort of like sports coach? I've heard of life coaches, but I'd never really was interested in that. I'd heard of ADHD, obviously, but I was like, what is a life coach? And I started to do research. And I was like, wow, this sounds like my sort of thing. I don't like when people tell me what to do. I'm already working on my emotional, working on the past, working on building that. And I decided to meet with a few just to see what would happen. And I met with a few and I met with my coach now. And I instantly just clicked with her. And she gave me the knowledge of ADHD, but in context of my experiences. But she didn't voice her opinions onto me. She just guided me to make me realize. She evoked me to have self-awareness. With her questioning, she inquisitively basically made me more self-aware by evoking it from mine. And I guided the session, but she was just with me there. I didn't feel alone. I felt like someone, for the first time in a long time, had seen me and was there for me. Not to tell me what to do, but was there to help guide me. And I'm not just saying this because I'm going to be an ADHD life coach, but hands down, ADHD life coaching has been one of the biggest impacts of my entire life. And that's why I'm here today. They asked, why do you want to become one? And I was like, oh my goodness, this is like digging for gold. There are so many reasons why I want to become an ADHD life coach. And I don't think we've got full time for every reason why I want to become one, because I think I'd be doing this podcast for like 3 hours. The main reason is this. With my job now, I can only go so far. I can't tell people what to do, and I never want to. What I went through with my life coach was one of the biggest experiences of my entire life. And it was all me. It all came from me, which was so empowering. But she was just there to help me, to guide me, to help me become my own person, to help me discover things. And as a teacher, some of the things overlap. And the biggest reason why I want to become one is because I want to guide people. I want to help them discover their true selves. Not at this age, but I want to work with kids and families. I want to support them in a way that at a school I can't. I want to support them with their whole entire life. I'm talking from home to school to every part. And that's because I want to help people unlock their true potential and their true self. And as I said in my episode, the ADHD was the key to my locked box. And coaching gave me the map to find that key. Not getting the diagnosis, but coaching. Things helped me along, my support group helped me along the way, but coaching was the thing that allowed me to open that box. And I want people to be able to open their box. I want people to be able to get to shore and be the lighthouse, knowing that I was part of that. I was part of something bigger than just at school. I was part of helping, guiding that person, partnering that person to really see their true potential. I didn't tell them. They did it all by themselves. I was just there along the way. And that's the biggest reason why I want to become an ADHD life coach. As we go more and more onto this series, we're going to talk more in depth about ADHD life coaching. But that's basically an overview. We don't just look at ADHD. We don't just look at life. We look at life through an ADHD lens. And when we come back after the break, we're going to start talking about the first real point of contact when you meet a coach, and that's the change process. So join us after the break, okay? I actually remember the break, got my timer ready, and we're out. If you would like any information on Indigo's support group, check out the website below for our link to our Facebook page. or email at indigo.adhd2020@gmail.com. If you would like to offer any comments or feedback, or if you are interested in the world hearing your story, then please reach out, either through the group or through our email. As said before, have a good week. Check in again later, Indigos. Shh, the Indigo Diaries. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. So in the first part of today, we were talking about what ADHD Life Coaching is, okay? And this part is about what change process is. Most clients will go through, and people will go through a change process, okay? And that is basically self-awareness. The first step is self-awareness. And they're asking about what is change? And I was like, what do you mean, what is change? Change is when something changes. I was like, no, that does not sound right. A change is when something occurs that is different to what it was before. Okay, so a new system, a new thing, a new normal, a new something. But I was like, but change for me was not the same as growth. Growth for me is very different, okay? Growth, and then I started to realize that change is inevitable and growth is a choice. Change, you can't stop it. It happens. We go from a baby to an elderly person. We go from 20 to 30s. It's change. We change jobs. We change this. It's inevitable. It's going to happen whether we like it or not. And that's a fact. But growth is a choice. You can change but not grow. And for me, that was a real big thing because, like, I hear a lot of people go, I changed, I become a new person, this and this. And really, what I went through last year with my ADHD coach was growth. So I apologize if you just heard my cat. When I get home from work, my kitten wants to play with me. So I've sorted her out and I'm back now. So we were talking about growth. Because what I went through last year was growth, okay? And I was like, that's really different from change. I didn't feel like I'd changed. I felt like I'd evolved, growth. And that was a choice. I didn't have to change. I was in lockdown. Yeah, of course, that was a change. But what I went through with myself was a choice. And I really like the difference between change and growth, and that growth is a choice. So when I think about the change process, I think of it more like a growth, okay? And we're going to get there. Before we go on to the growth model, I want to just talk about a really, really nice model that I'm going to put on the description below, which is the Gordon Training Center model, Conscious Competence Ladder. And this can help us understand the change process that comes to coaching and in life, okay? So it starts with step 1, a ladder, and it's called unconscious incompetence. When we're unconscious of the incompetence that's going on in life. So when we're unconscious, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what is happening with us, that something is going on or something that is not really the best thing for us. Then step 2 is when you're conscious but incompetent. I don't like that word incompetent, but that's the word they use. When you're aware that you need to change, when you're aware that something is going wrong, that this barrier is not working for you, okay? Then the next one is conscious competence. And that's when you're conscious again, but you're working on what you need to work on. You're working on that barrier. So that's called conscious competence. Then, as you've built that new thing, that new habit, that new lifestyle, it becomes unconscious again. So it becomes unconscious competence. So it's like a ladder. So it's like unconscious, incompetence. So not doing very well, but you're not aware. Then you're aware that there's something going on. Then you're aware that it's going right. And then you become unaware, but it's going right because you get in a new habit. Okay. So I will describe an experience that helps with that. Okay. Because it helps create self-awareness and provokes change with our behaviors, habits, and new skills. So I'll explain what I mean by that. So when it came to me with my lifestyle, okay, so I talked about my exercise, okay. I was unconscious. I had unconscious incompetence that running, I like running's my sport, that running, I was getting bored of running. Okay, I was getting really, really bored of it. I didn't really realize I just kept going out 3 times a week. I wasn't very motivated, but I just kept going. And I was doing the same runs every single week. And I thought, yeah, it's keeping me fit. Yeah, whatever. I like it. It helps me. Then I started to realize, I'm not actually progressing anywhere. So then I became conscious that it wasn't working. I became conscious of the incompetence, that, yeah, I'm running, but it's not going anywhere and I'm getting a bit bored. Then I started to take action. This is where action comes in place. I started to take action to become more competent. So I got a personal trainer for running, okay, running program. And then I started to see change. I started to see change happening. So I was conscious of this new competence. And I kept at this routine for about 3 weeks. And then it became unconscious that I was doing really well. But I didn't keep thinking to myself, oh, I'm starting this new program, I need to keep going. It just became like my new reality. It just became a new pattern. And I really like this. You don't know, and then you know, oh yes, then you change, then it becomes a habit. And I really like this step. I didn't understand it first, it took me a while, but I really like these steps because it really shows you how to create change in any area of your life. So I thought that was really interesting. And they asked, describe a change that wasn't your choice. So something that wasn't my choice was, I'm having to think now. I'm like, oh, I hate that when your memory just goes blank. That happens so often. I probably can, if anyone's listening to this, I probably think that you agree when your mind just goes blank. So something that I couldn't control the change was my my job when I was in China. Okay, my job started going downhill. Okay, and I took a promotion, so that was my choice. But then it started to go out of control, which wasn't my choice. It wasn't my choice that I went from liking my job to absolutely hating my job. It wasn't my choice because the change that was occurring was not in my control. Okay, that's how I see it. It wasn't a change that's not in your control. It wasn't in my control. And I was unconscious that it was happening because it didn't involve me. It did involve me, but it was not happening right in front of me. So I was unconscious that it wasn't working. Okay. And then something occurred and I realized, oh my goodness, this is not okay. You know, this is really not okay. And then how did I take action? Well, then I made a choice, okay? And I had to become competent that it was not okay. So I decided to leave. And then my choice started to get unconscious because I knew I'd made the right choice. I didn't think about it anymore because I was doing it, okay? It was something that I couldn't control. But then I took control to make that change more for myself. Then they asked you to, what a change was your choice? So a change that was my choice was going to get ADHD Life Coaching, was making a change in my life, okay? Or a bit like my running one earlier, okay? So my running one was a choice, okay? It wasn't working. Or my ADHD Life Coaching, what I was doing wasn't working. It just took me a while. It always usually takes me an event to make me realize, a situation to make me realize. Then I go into the conscious incompetence. Then as I make action, so as I started doing the run, it becomes conscious. It becomes unconscious when the new behavior models or new skills occur. They said, how is it different? And I said, for me, the initial unconscious and then conscious, when it's not your choice, there's a lot more to it. When it's your choice, you go through the steps because your way. When it's not your choice, it's a little bit different. You know, my thing with my job was not my choice for it to go spiral out of control, but I had to manage it. So then I went through the steps. So that was my experience. And I feel that when it's your choice to change, you grow from it. When it's not your choice, A change occurs and you just deal with it. It's very different to make that choice than actually the inevitable change. If you have an inevitable change, but then you choose to grow from it, then that is different because you have made that change. You have maybe not initiated the change, but you've took that change and gone with it, which is what happened to me with my job. I didn't make the change. I didn't want the change. But then as I saw it, I decided, I'm going to take charge of this change. Okay? And then we go into the actual change process, okay, which is Petraska's change model, okay? And I've also put this in the description below. The process model, and it's a spiral up and down. So a lot of people may have heard this before. Pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance, okay? And this can happen with anything in different parts of your life. It's not just you go through this once and that's it. You don't just go up and that's it. You go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, spiral, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's what happens. Me, I see it more like a building block, like Lego, okay? So pre-contemplation is at the bottom. That means no, 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 no. So I'm going to talk about it with, and no, 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 no. Okay, no. Contemplation is that, maybe we could go with the change. You're thinking about it. Maybe I could go there. Preparation is, okay, let's get ready. Let's go. Let's go. We need to know what we need to do, blah, blah, blah. Action, let's do this. Oh, yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. And you start putting things in place. Maintenance. Wow, this is hard. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going, and then I'm going to keep reflecting and keep growing more and more. And that's what the process that people go through with any sort of change, okay, or growth, however you look at it. Okay, I prefer change. I prefer growth. Some people prefer change. Depends what it is. So they said go through a change in your life using this process. So I was like, okay, I'll take meditation. When my life coach started talking to me about meditation, about mindfulness, and about how it will help me, I was like, no, no, there's no way. I can't sit down for 10 minutes. No. Then I did a bit of research because one of my core values is trying and growth. It's actually one of my core values is growth, okay? So I'm really big on this subject. And you can't knock until you try it, hey? And I was like, right, maybe, maybe it would work, but no. And then you go through that phase, you're like, no. And I went through it for a few weeks. I said to her, no. So then I started to prepare. And I was like, okay. So I started doing more and more research. And then I started looking at different apps and things like this. So I was getting ready for the action. Then I said, okay, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it my way. So let's do this, but I'm just going to do it for 1 minute at a time. 1 minute meditation, 1 minute. 1 minute a day, keep the doctor away. 1 minute a day, 2 minutes a day, and then 3 minutes, and work up. She was like, great. Little steps by little steps. Then I got to like 3 minutes, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is like changing my life. This is really amazing. It's helping me pause and start. I feel really, really calm afterwards. Then it got to maintenance. Okay, let's keep going. So I kept going. So I got to 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a bit much for me. And still to this day, probably like 10 months later, I still do meditation every day. Only 4 minutes, 5 minutes at maximum, but I still do it every day. And it's because I took that first step. That first step is the pre-contemplation, okay? The pre-contemplation when you go, do you know what? I'm going to try this. Contemplation. Pre-contemplation, no. Yeah. Then they said, did you have any of that did you go all the way up straight away? Okay. Did you just go whoop? And I was like, no. Especially when it got to contemplation, I was like, okay. And then I was like, no. I was like, okay, no. So pre-contemplation, contemplation was like up, down, up, down, up, down. Then I started to prepare. Then as I was learning about the apps, I was like, no. And I tried a few apps and I was like, no. Then I started to do an app and then I was getting into the action process, but then I ended up not liking the app. And I was like, no. So then I went back down to no. And then I got an app that I really liked and then went straight up to maintenance. And I'm still in that maintenance. I'm still trying. I'm still keep going because we never stop growing really. And that's a big thing. in any change or growth in your life, you, without realizing, you go through these steps. Okay, even with change that you may not be able to control. I think the other one, the unconscious, the conscious, that is incorporated into this Prochaska's. Okay, you know, pre-contemplation. Now you're unconscious. It's the unconscious incompetence. Okay, then you contemplate. Okay, so you're conscious incompetence. You're conscious that, yeah, maybe you're not right, really. No. Then preparation is kind of like in the middle of conscious incompetence and conscious competence. Conscious competence, like the action, yeah, let's go, look, we're doing this. And the maintenance is when you become unconscious, because you're getting it without even knowing. And, you know, even now, I'm still going through these processes for different behaviors, habits, and new skills. And I think we all go through these every single day. And I thought to myself when I first saw this, I need to be here, need to be here, need to be here. And I go through like up, down, up, down, up, down. And they showed us this one with the spiral, which I've put in the description below. And it's like you go up and then you go back down, you go up and then you go back down, or down a little bit, up a little bit. But in different parts of your life, you can be up, down, because every change, every growth is different. Every part of your life is different. And I thought that was really interesting. And it takes 21 days to develop a new habit, and then 21 weeks to establish a new lifestyle. And I thought that was really, really powerful. And they said that because it does take a long time. And they asked her for a metaphor to describe the change process. And I'm going to go with my waves. Up, down, up, down, up, down. But as you're going up, down, you get further towards that lighthouse. You're really far away. Pre-contemplation. Contemplation, you get a bit closer. Preparation, action, maintenance, you're almost there. And you're going to keep pushing forward. But along the way, it's up, down, up, down, up, down. Nothing is sailing calm. It's up, down, up, down. We have ADHD. Our lives are up, down. The paradox of ADHD. Okay, and I realised I've gone a little bit over today, but it was a big topic and there was lots of different things. So there are many barriers that get in the way of going up, down in the change process. That's why it's not a straight line, because there are many, many barriers that get in our way. Things that are in your control, things that are not, things about our brain wiring. There's so many different things, so many different layers, and we'll get there when we get there. Right now, we're just talking about the process. And we're going to go through a little change process ourselves over this next few weeks. So I look forward to that. So next week is about needs, wants, and tolerations. This is a big one for me. So I'm going to make sure I try and get just the best bits in. So I really appreciate you coming with me to verbal process. But before we end today, I'm just going to do my encouragement of the week like I always do. Change can be scary, but you know what's scarier? Allowing fear to stop you from growing, evolving, and progressing. Mandy Hale. Wow, truth there, hey? Change is scary. It's inevitable, but it's scary. But change, when you take that power of change and you empower yourself to choose the change to grow, that's growth. When you choose to go, do you know what? I'm not going to let this take over me. This change is going to happen, yeah, it's inevitable, but I'm going to choose to grow from this change. Then you have the power. The power is in you. Just don't let that fear stop you from getting that power. So I hope next week you come back, you learn, listen, and experience the world through it, an eyes of coach in training. Why not, hey? Have an amazing and growthful, is that even a word? And have a great week, everybody. And we're out. Dear Diary, as the training process goes on, it makes me stop and wonder, could there be more for us? More light, more possibilities, and a place where we can truly be ourselves. I think this journey will be